To Kieran, Jack, the skipper, two number 15s, and they'll be looking, I think, for their half-back line to do their rebound, in which they've done okay, but they've got to hit targets with their kicks, not just launching long bombs, which end up going back over their head.
The two preliminary finalists from last year, head-to-head again. And we're underway here at the SCG. De Boer comes hard. Crowley, Mundy, got a little high on Mundy. And Mundy grabbed himself a free. High on Mundy after he was subbed out in the second quarter last week with a hit to the head, but good to see he's come up okay.
So they had plenty of time to get their midfield back to block this up, force the long kick.
Big long up and under. Taberner turned his back, tried to mark the ball, turning his back on his opponent, couldn't bring it down. Derricks, massive players around this, and Parker hacks it clear to the space. Dawson and Pike, though. Pike not the man you want to kick to necessarily in a one-on-one in space, but he does well here. Holds it up, waits for the cavalry. Mundy sidesteps through some traffic, floats one. Ballantyne under it and almost collected it. Smith just knocked it from him. Rampy is about to get a possession left to behind.
Yeah, taking a little bit high at the other end of the ground. This is going to be really interesting and entertaining, hopefully. Buddy Franklin with the whole forward 50 to himself. They're going to turn this into a major athletic event.
Oh, not that
without kicks or handballs.
He thought that Malcheski was free to run, but it didn't work. Mzungu could have gone for goal, goes to the all-time great for Fremantle. Matthew Pavliks to line up and have a crack at the first goal of the afternoon.
Well, that gives a little insight, I think, Lynchy, as to where they are at as a group. The Sydney Swans second-guessing each other. They're going to work. You're going to see a response, but you still have to be able to execute.
And we spoke about their quality through the midfield, but one of the things we've noticed over the last few years is their run-off halfback's been so good and so positive. That was just, as you said, there wasn't a lot of confidence and continuity between the teammates.
Picked 8 goals, 7 this year from directly out. Fist, yeah, he loves it. Fremantle first blood.
Disappointing start from a Sydney point of view. Really encouraging start to the free kick that caused the forward 50 entry to start with, and then this really bad turnover. So on this occasion saw Mzungu, just a nice little pass. We haven't seen a lot of those sort of passes from the Sydney Swans. Fremantle Dockers lower their eyes beautifully to hit up really strong targets. Great kick into the breeze.
Starting man-on-man in the forward line for the Sydney Swans, which has been a little bit different to what they've done over the last couple of weeks. In fact, it's 7v7 there at the present time.
And once this ball's bounced, you would expect a few of them will shoot away and leave the space for Franklin one-on-one if they can get it in there. But Mundy gets the clearance, bounces it to half-forward, straight through a few hands. Grundy, Richards, Smith, Kennedy coming off a 33 possession game last week in the loss to North Melbourne. He hasn't been letting them down. To Jack in the middle, and now they go long. It's Pike instead in the one-on-one, and it works against Dawson.
Well, Buddy Franklin's working really hard. You wouldn't have seen him contribute there, but there he comes on the bottom of the screen now. But he was up on the half-back flank. He's dragging McFarlane away, and they're clearly pushing Pike forward as a tall marking option.
Well, McFarlane was virtually best on ground last week. Don't tell me Lance Franklin's going to be the highest paid dummy we've ever seen in footy. He'll just take his man out. Pike from 50. And he misses to the near side.
It's an important role that Pike plays as well. You're saying as that second tall forward, which he did extremely well for the most part of last year. Obviously had the great support from Mundy as the first ruck option. They just need to get some support in the middle of the ground to allow Pike to spend mainly a lot of his time forward.
Spur to Johnson. Swans have the numbers on the outer side. It might work though for Fremantle. It rolls out of play. They get a ball in.
So Richards is deepest. He's going with Pavlich, the captain of the Fremantle Dockers.
You saw the hand over there beautifully on screen. McFarlane handed over to allow Johnson to go up on Franklin when he was high. Johnson will drop out of this contest to be the loose man in defence.
McGlenn wants to keep this alive. Franklin was running for him inside. Couldn't get it to him.
And Grundy on Matt Taberner, who was pretty impressive last week, Lynchy, in his game for the Fremantle Dockers. He's got good hands. He was robbed of a couple, I thought, with a couple of hands being chopped, but looks like a player of the future.
An exciting player up against a player that's been in really good touch over recent seasons. Just wasn't real flash last week.
Pike with a couple to beat here. Dawson flips it to the boundary deliberately, and Sutcliffe was there to make it look perfect. To Neil. To the wing. Pavlich comes down. Malcheski drops in front of the path.
So Buddy across half back now. He's just looking to get away from his opponent as a starting point.
Slow entry, though. You can see Mike Pike waving to get that ball in quickly.
Good
That's a good turnaround.
Yep, Daniel Pearce to De Boer to Pavlich, and he bounces. He's about to kick it where he'd like to be, somewhere at half forward. Couldn't find a kick, so with the handball, Rampy cuts it off, flicks it wide. Good contest at the moment. Derek's a little fumble. They jump into him. Bird. Mazungu, but Teddy Richards in the spot waiting for it, making reload.
And that's exactly why Pav didn't kick first time 2 minutes ago, was because Richards and also Franklin were there.
Jetta's first chance to get and go. Plenty of space ahead. Who does he want as a target? Didn't want to kick, and he bounces it to McGlynn. And it was good enough. He parted the seas, got through. Sandilands, who's been in good form. Hot contest at the moment. Clancy Pearce gets it up. And Lance Franklin makes a tackle. The ball up on the wing.
Once again, a couple of poor handballs resulted in a turnover. Both players, Lewis and McGlynn, could have gone long to Pike, who once again was pushing forward. A golden hair tapped that one.
Hill on the run, had to get it away. Taberner again, got in the hole. Gee, that's high on Jack. Kieran Jack.
It's good work from Taberner, actually. He straight lined that ball and went straight at it.
2 goals last week for Taberner, as Alistair Lynch and Gerard told you, was impressive and might have a spot for a while on that side.
Well, that's twice now from Mike Pike. He was lucky he got away with one in the forward pocket earlier. He's got to do better than that.
Clancy Pearce, just his second game of the year.
Play on. Play on.
Sandilands the target, half forward, slap of the arms, free kick.
Well, Tom Derrick's had the opportunity there to get in front, take the ball in his own hands, but a little bit intimidated by the size of his opponent.
Good one-on-one that, Pavlich and Richards. Richards just got a fist in, as he so often does.
It was an enormous effort from Teddy Richards up against one of the premier forwards in the competition. One-on-one contest deep, didn't give away the free kick, but still got that left arm in to spoil. Fantastic defensive work.
Cunningham rolls it away. Mike Pike couldn't quite run back onto it, didn't bounce kindly, and McGlynn's gone down behind play.
Not surprised, Wayne. He's been holding and scragging and should be giving away free kicks against Nat Fyfe, but he hasn't been pinged yet. He's got inside his head, just needs to be a little bit more careful at so close to goal if he's going to give away a free kick.
So that was a Nat Fyfe retaliation?
No doubt.
And he did beat Brent Harvey last week. McGlynn did a great job on him. Franklin's first chance, he doesn't go at it. He waits back and leaves the Pike one-on-one. It eludes them both, ball in.
So just a bit of little bit of holding and a little bit of a push. Not a lot in that, to be honest.
Clark does some ruck work. Hanbury, who's having a lean time of it. McGlynn bumped out of it. Hill, slick hands. Dawson, not normally a kicker from defence, and blazes away. Richards, good juggler.
Once again, Mike Pike lucky not to get pinged for hands in the back. He's just got to have a bit of a look at that's crept into his game.
And so do the umpires.
Malcheski, long over Franklin's head.
Although that would be a deliberate, long deliberate. Won't be paid though. Good positioning kick.
And we all know there's been a softening in the one-on-one marking contest, but the hands in the back is a non-negotiable. It's a clear-cut rule. Once you place the hands in the back in a marking contest or a push in that ruck contest, it is a free kick.
Clark, front spot. Pike right with him, knocks it down. Fyfe, hammered just as he collects it. City Swans fans want ball. I don't get that. Parker, Hanbury, Mayne. Thrown after, and good to see him back.
Well, the Dockers got one extra up at this clearance. Swans have got a floater just sweeping across the half back in Nick Smith.
No, missing that week with the ankle problem. Back into play. Fyfe also back into the lineup after suspension. Got it up to Mundy. Sandlands one-on-one. Good grab.
Great grab. Oh, not a great handball.
Well, Hill shouldn't have caught for it, really. Rampy. Back to Sandlands. He mops up that little mess to Pavlich. Slick hands. Pierce. Valentine. No one's forward for a long kick. Mundy. And he doesn't want to kick long. Obviously, why? Mayne. Arm knock. Free kick.
Still outnumbered 50 metres from the ball. Got to go lateral.
Oh, Duffield.
And he could explode. Lob this right in the goal square.
Just would need Sandilands to still get back to the top of the goal square.
We've got Pavlich in the pocket, so you can expect he will lead towards the goal square.
Sutcliffe pokes that.
Look at this for an opportunity.
So Rampy cuts it off. They're streaming in space. Good collect in the end by Jack. Gave it up. Bird doesn't know where to go. Pumps it long. Goal square. Race on. Bouncing ball. Sutcliffe got there. Dragged down McLean. Fantastic contest. No prior opportunity. Won't be ball. Can't be ball. Ball up.
He's got the bad bounce. Needed the end over end bounce, but just hit the green and spun backwards. Not good for the Sydney Swans. Great for Fremantle defenders.
Blood rule, Sydney.
Blood rule, as you can hear.
Malcheski coming off the ground. How the rotation's going, Baz? I see it's pretty even at 10 apiece.
Yeah, it's pretty even down here, Jared, but you can generally see in the first 5 minutes of games generally what sides are trying to do. They've just got the message 15 minutes ago from the coach. You see Fremantle want to go in long and deep to one-on-one into Pavlich, and Sandline's been anchored down there, so they think they've got an advantage one-on-one.
And the ball up, and a good spot for a ball up for Sydney here. Mundy to Mzungu, out of trouble, might be temporary. Taken to the boundary cleverly by Taberner. That was his out.
I'm interested in to see just how John Longmire handles his captain, Kieran Jack. He's got a few possessions already today, but he's being tagged by Crowley. Kieran Jack cut his teeth as a tagger, so he's clearly, if he wants to break that, he's in a good position to be able to put him onto a hill or put him onto a 5-4 Mundy.
Fyfe got that kick. Smith read it well. Valentine corrals him, holds him up.
Yeah, I reckon he's spot on, Jared, because they need Kieran Jack. You know he's hard at the ball, but his outside work as well, his finishing work to hit targets inside 50 is critical. He just hasn't had that sort of space over the last few weeks.
Rampy, Cunningham, Shaw. Here they go with the run again. Laidler, who kicked a couple of goals running off half-back last week, short to Jetta.
Well, they've pushed Jack now to full forward. I'd act really quickly if I was in his position, just simply so you gain control of the matchups. At the moment, Ross has got the matchup he wants.
Pierce, short, Grundy read that. It was to Pavlich's direction, but Grundy made a third man in. Richards slung, got a handball. Smith and Rampy. And Rampy gets the handball to Shaw. Thought about Laidler, ignores him, goes wider, and that's out on the full. McLean couldn't get there in time to touch it out.
And Jared, that's a huge win for Freo to have Kieran Jack lined up at full forward. I'm sure the Fremantle Dockers coaching staff will be fairly happy with that situation. Gets him away from the ball. Obviously, he still can do some damage at full forward, but if Sydney are to win, they need Kieran Jack on the ball and playing well.
Well, Pav's kicked a goal, but his man Ted Richards has been superb so far for the Swans.
Brandon Jack, good pluck.
Appeals, rejected.
Kennedy turns into trouble in the form of Clancy Pierce. Good hands. Brandon Jack, here's the run. Bird put him under pressure, though. Had a couple waiting for the quick hands. Dawson, Daniel Pierce, one-on-one. Pavlich, Grundy. Grundy got a hand in, jumped on him. Ted Richards again, superb. Bounces away. Lewis Roberts-Thompson leads long. That's ignored. Goes to Shaw, to Jetta.
They're away.
Longer than LRT. Goes to Cunningham on the run. Gathers. Thought about taking on Johnson. Franklin to the pocket. And that'll help McFarlane.
Just struggling with his skills at the present time. Turnovers, handballing to poor options, bad kicking like that at the present time. Work rate, I'm sure John Longmire would be thrilled with. And I think he'd just be happy at three-quarter time to say, righto, we've got the work rate where we need it to be for the rest of the game. Let's just tidy up a few execution errors.
Malcheski. Hill cuts it off to Fyfe. Valentine's got a couple to beat. Rampy, one of them. Got a fist away. Rampy back in, kept his feet, shrugged a couple. Hands it back to Laidler, all the way back to Shaw.
Great vision.
So McVeigh. Held up.
These are the critical possessions here. This short pass probably, and then the inside 50.
Drives it long, hoping for Parker. Spur got a fist in. Hill to the ball. Clark wrapped up. Grundy, good tackle. He dumped him into the deck. Crowd enjoyed that. Brandon Jack. Daniel Pearce, nice turn. Spur bangs it wide. They've got a 2-on-1 here, Fremantle. Just off the bench is Neil. Mayne's seen him, and he can run. Not a lot to go to again. So he holds it up.
That's it, because they're still playing that extra man in defence. So the Swans have a floater across halfback as well.
Taberner. Back away.
Well, the Swans defence holding up pretty well. At the moment, it seems to me that Buddy Franklin's getting sucked too far up the ground. Lynchy, the way they're getting at the Swans, they're not flying through the middle of the ground. And Buddy then is almost being, he needs about a 100-metre distance, like a 30-metre 30-metre run up and a 60-metre kick, etc., to just get some space between him and his man.
Fyfe. Taberner got hands on it. Ladler just knocked an arm. Rampy tucked up against the boundary, wanted to keep it alive. Hanbury puts it up long. Duffield in the hole.
You're right. The way they're going inside 50, they tend to kick the ball too long at the moment. And Swans at their very best go that 35-metre pass just inside 50 at the long shots.
Clancy Pearce. Mundy. Sutcliffe. Mzungu. Almost worked to perfection. Off hands. Taberner can't break away with it. Malcheski strong. Attacked it hard. Took the ball and the body at once. Derricks went backwards for some strange reason. Smith. Grundy. He slips. Mzungu back in. Grundy in trouble. Knocks it out. Laidler. Neil about to pounce. Just caught Smith a little high. Play on to advantage. Short, long. One-on-one. Brandon Jack. Lee Spur knocked it down. Sutcliffe. Picked up by Kennedy. Caught. Dumped. Duffield. Back inboard. Hill. McFarlane. Low-scoring contest, but a high-quality contest right now. Enjoyable for everyone to watch. Mzungu picks it up. Bangs it long inside 50. It's wide. Too wide for Pav. And it rolls out of play. We'll get a ball in. Barry Hall.
Yeah, you spoke about Buddy Franklin pushing too far up the ground. Matthew Pavlich is also doing the same. They just haven't adjusted to the SCG and the size of it at this stage. They're obviously used to playing on big grounds, but Buddy's going to have to get used to playing on a small ground. You need to anchor yourself back inside 50, because from centre wing, you can clearly get it inside 50 pretty deep.
Pavlich. Mundy outside of the boot. This will bounce. And Grundy knew it was going to bounce toward the goal.
Just to reinforce what Baz is talking about, how especially Buddy's getting way out the field, you've got to remember the Sydney Swans have only trained on this ground for 1 week. They haven't been near the SCG. It's been on the outer ovals for a long time because of the baseball and cricket. So Buddy Franklin hasn't actually been on this park too much at all.
It is strange. They are not back here at the SCG either for over a month. So they play here today and then don't see it for another 5 weeks. Pearce pounces on it on the wing. Just pushed on the kick. Taberner. Crowd into this game though. Good crowd in here at the SCG. Jetta was out of play.
On a positive note, Dwayne, for the Swans, I reckon you could put 7 or 8 really poor skill executions on a grab or on a 30-second piece, and John Longmire would say we're making these mistakes and yet we're still just 6 points behind. They could well have been 3 or 4 goals behind at the moment.
Hold the jumper, Aaron Sandilands.
Sandilands free. Talked about his form, having arguably one of the best seasons of his career, certainly injury-free, which is fantastic to see.
Move it on.
Squeezes the kick to Pavlich. Good hands. Maybe just beyond his range, though.
He got the good matchup. Rampy had the drop off. There was a handover from Ted Richards. So Pav would be really happy with that matchup. So he'll be continually trying to get that changeover.
He looks like he's going to have a crack at it, but those darting eyes tell you maybe he'll just hit the top of the square. Very deliberate approach. From 56, gets plenty on it. Pike.
Well, it was good work by Pike in the finish. I know it's basics and the simple things in footy, but he could have been sucked up onto his man. He elected to stay back, and luckily he did.
And that's where there's a really strong train of thought in the coaching ranks about that kick actually going 15 metres short rather than to the goal line, where it is an easy spoil over. And so basically hand over possession. Obviously Pav was quite confident he'd get the journey.
Richards wide. Lewis Roberts-Thompson, who hasn't seen it yet, won't see it here. Pavlich too strong and definitely too far out to score this time.
Target this time.
And on the lead, he's got Fyfe as well. Overshoots them both. Ted Richards read that superbly, as he always seems to do, to Kennedy.
He's putting on a clinic, Ted Richards, at the moment.
Sure. And Teddy will get another. Lance Franklin.
Luke McFarlane will be very happy. Buddy can get all his possessions he wants that far from goal.
He's coming off for a spell as well, Franklin.
And Luke Parker, just a little message to Buddy to just have a look inside, mate. I'm here, so it's a quicker way to home. And it is an issue this ground. When you start going around the boundary line from that half-back flank, it's just about as far as full-back.
It's a long way from goal.
Mundy, very circular this ground, very round oval, if you know what I mean. At Easter, it's not egg-shaped. Franklin.
Still outnumbered deep again.
And he knows he's too far out to score. But he probably will hit that spot 15 minutes out, 15 metres out from goal, you think.
Go around him.
Trouble. Strange option.
Trouble.
Handed to Clark, gave to McFarlane. No one home. If it bounces kindly, Ted Richards or Grundy will gobble it up and reload the Swans to Rampy. Goes to Smith instead. Ignores Rampy as well and goes wider to Bird on the overlap. Lewis Roberts-Thompson on the march. Got it. Good build up this. But this kick's the problem. No one to go to.
Mundy's behind the ball.
McVeigh.
Even this one. Unsure whether the long one's the right one. Now, they can pull the trigger on a 35-metre pass to the leading forward.
McGlynn goes to the pocket. Way wide. Out of bounds in the full. They've had their chances, Sydney. They're still in it.
And Buddy Franklin has just coasted up there, and he needs to have a look at that. I know he's trying to get off the ground and have a rest, but his man McFarlane was good enough to do the same kilometres as him and get back and make an option. Buddy was still coasting on the 50-metre line when he should have been up there presenting as an opportunity. Then he didn't pick McFarlane up.
McFarlane long towards Pavlich. Richards' fist wins out. McGlynn knocks it back again. Bird. And we'll get a ball in.
Look at Buddy Franklin now. We see 55 metres at the top of the goal square. He's outnumbered. He had to go shorter, so he was discouraged because he was outnumbered. The only probably option was wide into the forward 50.
Any option was probably better than the option he took, though, which was strange. Jetta. Here's an option, an opportunity to go to the pocket to Franklin on the move. McFarlane wearing him like a glove.
Well, it is windy out there. That's the only excuse you can come up with for the Sydney Swans and their poor disposal at the present time. It's quite blustery down on the ground, Barry.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit blowy, but you've seen McFarlane then. He went stride for stride with Buddy Franklin, and we see the wind there. It's blowing quite a bit, but let's hope that dies down a little bit.
Well, the bad news for Sydney is they're kicking with it ever so slightly in this opening term, and they're trailing. Pike. Mundy stays in play. Smith wrapped up. Mayne, good strong tackle. Laidler.
They got the extra play. This will be good work by the Dockers if they can hold it in, which they can't in the end.
Sure. So it opens up again. Drives it long. Franklin on the move. Can't get there. LRT got a hand on it. Knocked it down to Hill. And the space opens up for Fremantle. Went to the middle. Sutcliffe straight through his legs.
High risk.
Good tackle on Parker in the end. Didn't give away the high. Could well have got one. Could be holding the ball there. That didn't look like a handball either. Mayne. Fyfe dragged down. Can't break free with it. Fyfe again gives to Mayne. Can't get rid of it. McVeigh. Shaw. Grundy. Fantastic contest for a one-goal game. Richards.
Ted's up to 11. This will be a PB for a quarter.
LRT on the march.
And Lewis is working hard to give him the athletic.
So Jetta to Malcheski over his head. Parker. McVeigh. Malcheski kickable by his standards. There's that breeze. Pushed it long. Got it. First of the afternoon for Sydney.
Well, they can't get a goal from inside 50, Alistair, so you might as well try for one from outside 50. Fatigue is really a major factor for both sides at the present time. There's a lot of hands on hips. There's a lot of poor errors like that particular one from Lewis Jetta. But in the end, it took the big boot of Malcheski, who's kicked a lot more important goals than that one for the Sydney Swans. But right now, they'd be really relieved to get one.
And that's something we haven't seen a lot of. The likes of Malcheski, Shaw, attacking that forward 50 arc and kicking the long bombs. Even, Kennedy and Jack, the midfield, has actually been able to generate a shot at goal. See Bird come off the ground. So he's in some discomfort, chatting with the doctor at the moment.
So a slight momentum shift here. The Swans trying to hunt down the lead for quarter time. Ballantyne, almost his first chance. Got one to the back of the head. Finally hacked clear. Fyfe to Daniel Pearce. Good one-on-one. Pavlich, Richards. Both had a piece of it. Ballantyne, the crumb. That's his bread and butter. Oof. And when he's good, there's none better.
Good response by the Dockers. Win a centre clearance, get the ball forward. I thought that Ballantyne was very stiff not to get the free kick initially. And then it just came down to who was going to push down and crumb the best. And it was Hayden Ballantyne, just got away from Jeremy Laidler.
Perfect forward 50 crumbing goal from Hayden Ballantyne. Hit big Pav on the chest. Great position. We know he kicks goals around the body, either side of the foot. He's an exciting player, and quick response on the back of a clearance and a good contest from Matthew Pavlich. Hayden Ballantyne did the rest.
1 minute from quarter time. Pike, Clark. Pike against Clark with the palm down. Kennedy with the clearance. Parker. He can go long now. Gets plenty on it. Lewis Roberts-Thompson getting back. Dawson into his back a little, but he did play for it, LRT. Dawson, well, it was a team out of play deliberate. Well worked. Good spot for a ball in though for Sydney. For an instant reply to the instant reply. Fist from Clark. Johnson. Fyfe. Good chase on. Rampy and Taberner. Rampy kept his feet, was held. 20 seconds and counting. Shaw. Franklin lurking for him on the big left. You'd think he'd bomb it long. He doesn't. He goes with an accurate pass. The chaos ball. It works. McGlynn, sidestep, bends it around. Just enough. There is the instant reply to the instant reply.
Great goal. We saw Reece Shaw just waiting for Buddy Franklin to get involved and to get his teammate, high-profile teammate, into the game. Just gave off the handball, and it was the chaos ball forward. One that hits the deck, and you're forced to play on. Something has to happen out of this. And McGlynn just backed himself with his pace and just dragged the ball around beautifully. And I think they've had enough of the ball to be really encouraged, I think, the Sydney Swans in the first quarter. Although they trail, they've well and truly been in the contest, and just a bit of efficiency for those critical passes inside forward 50, and I think they'd be in front. But a very good contest first up.
Well, it's as you would expect for second versus fourth from last year. Had a different start to the season, these two teams, but right now they are turning on a finals-like contest here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Quarter time, good crowd in. Bright sunshine fading through an afternoon here at the SCG, and we're getting some entertainment. John Longmire and Ross Lyon about to address the troops. The Fremantle Dockers lead at quarter time 2-2-14 for the Swans. 2-1-13.